Welcome to the Robbins Regional Wrap, your one-stop shop for all of your Houston County news. I'm Connor Hendricks. Each week, we're taking you through what's happening in Houston, Warner Robins, Robbins Air Force Base, and your neighborhood. First up, it's been more than 2 months since Houston deputies launched a new anonymous tip line. Their goal is to stop family violence cases before they happen. The sheriff's office launched this program due to the rising domestic violence rates. So far this year, Houston County has had 15 homicides, and police say 12 were due to family or domestic violence. Jasmine Lee tells us why they believe the initiative is having an impact, but admit there's a lot more work to do.
Unfortunately, the violence in the family violence has increased drastically.
This year alone, Houston County has seen 15 homicides, with 12 of them tied to family violence. That's why law enforcement launched their anonymous tip line through Crime Stoppers to catch warning signs before more violence erupts. 2 months later, that violence hasn't stopped.
Seeing that level of violence associated with family violence this year has been alarming to us, and that's the reason we began this initiative.
The most recent case, just this past Sunday, a teenage son accused of shooting his father during an argument. The father survived, but Sheriff Matt Moulton says it's a chilling example of how quickly cases can spiral.
The trends that we're seeing this year with family violence is they are becoming more and more violent, and they are resulting to gun violence in a lot of cases. Not every case.
Still, Moulton says their initiative is having some impact. Since the tip line launched, around a dozen victims have reached out, and in 2 cases, Moulton says those early tips may have saved lives.
The Houston County Sheriff's tip line is a great asset.
Captain Paula Blevins with the Salvation Army Safe House says while friends and family can report abuse, the most critical step has to come from the victim.
It really takes the victim to step out and be brave and make that phone call to really make the change that needs to happen.
Reporting in Houston County, Jasmine Lee, 13 WMAZ News.
Sheriff Moulton says his office is also working to roll out new community partnerships that are focused on preventing violence before it starts. If you or someone you know needs help, then you can call that Houston County tip line 1-877-68-CRIME or 877-682-7463. And if you aren't in Warner Robins, there are additional resources across Central Georgia that can help. There's a crisis line and a safe house in Macon and Wings in Dublin, plus the Rescue Mission of Middle Georgia and the Salvation Army. You can also call the Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence. It's a 24-hour statewide hotline. Their number is on your screen right there, 404-209-0280. The mold problem continues for some people who live in the Warner Robins Housing Authority neighborhoods. We told you just last week about Kenya Gatewood, who she was having problems with mold growth in her home. Now another mother is speaking out about the mold in her home. Elizabeth Hunter talked with her about what her family's been dealing with.
Dozens of doctor visits, all linked back to the same thing.
They have no regard for your life or your children's safety or nothing.
Sharonda Jones has lived in her home in the Warner Robins Housing Authority's Jimmy Rosenberg neighborhood for 6 years. She says her family used to be happy here, but now it's a safety hazard.
Unable to breathe, just feel like I'm living in filth. I just feel icky and just gross.
Jones says they are facing a handful of medical problems because of the mold affecting every room of her house.
Bronchitis infection, upper respiratory infection. My daughter, she had a cyst in her leg due to the mold, and I started having eczema really bad.
Jones says the doctors have given her notes telling her to get the mold treated in her home, but the housing authority's done nothing. She says her biggest concern is possibly losing her kids if conditions in her home don't improve.
The condition of my house, I know if, it don't get told, if nobody does anything about it, I will be responsible.
She says she has had the school call her in the past and ask why her daughters are missing so many days, and all she can do is send in doctor's notes and hope they understand.
It makes me feel like I failed as a parent.
We wanted to talk to the Warner Robins Housing Authority about how they prevent and treat mold in their homes and how they respond to maintenance requests like Jones's, but they told us Executive Director Africa Porter would not speak. In Warner Robins, Elizabeth Hunter, 13 WMAZ News.
We also contacted the Houston County Health Department to see if they assist with public housing complaints. They tell us that they turn all of their inquiries they receive back over to the Warner Robins Housing Authority. As you heard, this isn't the first time we've received complaints about the Warner Robins Housing Authority. In July, Cam Campbell Homes tenant Brianka Sheely said that her apartment had mold, gas leaks, and a broken oven. Sheely says she was evicted after speaking out and is now suing for $5 million. Earlier that month, we also heard from Jennifer Piontek. She says that she was forced out of her home after bats kept flying in from the AC unit. And in June, Stephanie Haywood says that maintenance requests go ignored, and she showed us bubbling walls and painted over damage. The Houston County Sheriff's Office says more officers are hitting their targets thanks to their training range. The Ed Dunbar Law Enforcement Training Range was built back in 2018, but it's now recognized as a top 5 training facility in the state. The range uses computer technology to control moving targets, making training more realistic. Sergeant Guy Fussell is the range manager. He says that their officer qualification scores have shot through the roof since introducing the new tech.
The state of Georgia requires us to shoot at 80%. Okay, it's a 300-point course system. They have to shoot at least 240 to pass. We went from having people that were struggling to shoot 240 that are now consistently shooting 280, 290s.
Georgia requires officers to qualify only once a year, but the Houston County Sheriff's Office requires their deputy officers to qualify twice. And more developments on the horizon in Perry, about 90 acres to be exact. On September 2nd, the city of Perry received a proposal to build hundreds of homes off Kings Chapel Road. Elizabeth Hunter talked with city leaders to get an idea of what could be next.
358 new homes.
It concerns me a little bit.
What is currently farmland and wildlife could soon become suburbia.
And it's just a little bit too much.
Valinda Wilson has lived in Houston County her entire life. She says Perry's growth has her concerned for many reasons.
I just feel like it's too much congestion. You've got your traffic issues. With growth, you get crime. The crime rate increases.
Both of her stepchildren went to school in Perry. She says that is another area that suffers from too much growth.
There's still a little bit of a teacher shortage, so you've got that issue. And teachers are already struggling with too many children in the classroom as it is. So that, to me, that's just going to exacerbate that problem. And, you know, at what point does it stop?
Perry Community Development Director Joe Duffy says they consider these things when reviewing plans.
What the city would like to see in a large development, which really includes a lot more amenities for the public. We'd like to know how it impacts the traffic, landscaping, signage, all of those types of things.
Builders must complete 8 stages on the development timeline before construction can begin. Right now, Duffy says they are at stage 2.
We're really at the beginning. They're just trying to find out if they can do this.
Duffy says in 2007, the land was approved for only 246 units, so they will look very closely at the developer asking for 358. In Perry, Elizabeth Hunter, 13 WMAZ News.
Duffy says the planning board's next meeting is on October 6th, and he's inviting people to come out and share their thoughts on the proposal. That meeting will be held at Perry's Public Administrative Building at 6 p.m. The housing proposal, though, could also add to Perry's recent population surge. Since 2010, nearly 7,000 people have moved to Perry. There's a couple of reasons for that, like, for instance, the city's proximity to the Air Force Base and the downtown area, which is also booming. So much so that the city is adding 17,000 square feet of retail space. Another reason is the Georgia National Fair, which kicks off pretty soon. Over 500,000 people attended the fair last year, and the city expects even more people to attend this year. But it might be hard to find a place to stay. Construction on a new Marriott hotel at the Perry Fairgrounds is running behind schedule. The 129-room hotel won't be ready for the fair in October, but it could be open by mid-December. And for all you foodies out there in Warner Robins, Burger Week is officially underway. 20 local restaurants are grilling up creative burgers, all for just $10 each. Hard to beat that. Defending champ Props is back, serving up a truffle burger stacked with truffle mayo, boursin cheese, caramelized onions, and balsamic soaked tomatoes. The patty, it's a rich blend of chuck, brisket, and short rib. They say that the fresh, bold toppings help them stand out from the pack.
I see a lot of burgers sort of with the same sort of toppings. So if anything, I know I'm a little different this year than than most of the pack. I don't know if it's gonna give me any edge, but I do know it is a little different. I got a little different cheese, a little different toppings this year. Just try to stand apart a little bit.
I'm definitely going to have to try that out. And if you haven't taken advantage just yet, that's all right, don't worry. You still have 3 more days to try all of the unique dishes. Burger Week will officially wrap up on Sunday. That's a wrap on what's happening throughout the Robbins region this week. If you have a Houston County story that you want to share, email us at news@13wmaz.com. And then make sure you come back here each Friday to get all your Houston County news and stories that matter for you. Thanks so much for joining us.